You know, I've got it all set up. And okay, now it's starting to record on the YouTube. So it should be taking a few seconds. We'll be coming right up. There we go, refresh. That'll work. I am ready to begin. Life is good. Oh yeah, okay, good. Now, let's do this the right way. Hello, everybody. We are broadcasting live from Safety Harbor in Florida, and I want to thank you guys for showing up today. It's a beautiful evening. It was raining, so I was thinking I was going to be doing this in a downpour, but the gods have decided to stop the rain and do this. I recognize this yard behind us as broadcast. So welcome to this beautiful place, paradise. We're here to do some very interesting things. Enjoy, and let's see what happens. Okay, so it would seem like it's appropriate to start some nice music. How's everybody doing? Could you please tell me how the sound is? And so, how is it now? Because I've got the phone thing on and everything. And I was speaking quietly, so now I'm louder. And practically on YouTube. Why? Yeah. All right. So, how's that? I just turned it up, and so let me know how it is. Is it good? Okay, now give it a few seconds. And so let me know how it is on the chat. It's funny how it goes in and out. The signal is so weird in all these places. You never know what you're going to get. And I'm broadcasting everything on my hotspot. And so respond on the thing. Can you hear the phone? And is everything okay? Because I got that all set up. Okay, good. Okay, but not clear. That's really interesting. I've had this working well before, so how is that if I talk closer? And so, all right, so we're going to begin this broadcast, and this is going to be actually what we did on Wednesday. We're going to start on Saturday, or do today, Saturday. And so thank you for showing up here. Oh my God, we're doing really interesting stuff. God, if I turn this off and on, okay, it's good. All right, let's do this. I'm going to begin the official thing because now we got this going. It took a while. Okay. Oh, Bigfoot, that's funny. Yes, peanut butter and honey do make a good marriage. And so I want to thank you guys for showing up on this October 28th, 2017 broadcast of the Kartron Experience. We are here at Safety Harbor, Florida, which is just at north of St. Petersburg by Clearwater. And this is a very peaceful evening tonight. At least it's not freezing you know what off, so it's a nice day. And so we are here to literally create this other thing. Now, somebody interesting said that there was one of the reasons why they didn't subscribe in the past was because the tech was really weird. And you know what? I had to agree with them because the technology is often messed up. And so it's weird as a one-man show when you're trying to keep up with everything. And at the same time, you're like going, oh my God, I got to create a new vibe and a new thing and then help other people. It's just can be a really interesting time, when you're involved in all of this stuff. Hello, Liako. Liako is in New York, and so she joins us from over there. And it's well, you guys tune into her and tell her what you see because she would probably really appreciate that. And I think, Liako, you are quite a sensitive. And so, what the heck are you doing in a big city like New York if you are picking up everybody's vibes? It's like, what the heck? So, a lot of people are not vibing with the places where they are, so they have to move out because their sensitivities are opening up. And as your God sites do open up, then, you can't turn that off. And so a lot of people, they want to hurry this up. But ironically, the very thing that you say, I want more of, can cause more discomfort if you push it too much. That's why having a modicum of balance is necessary in every part of life. And so this is the invocation of the guardians evening. And you guys, as the hardcore Kartronians, are here to help bring about these beings, and Kartron is going to invoke them and install them in the different places in time. And so we're going to see how he's going to do that because it's never really been done before. And so let's see what that is. And so is everything else looking okay as far as the background, the lighting, and all of that stuff? If the light's too hot, let me know and all that. And so it's a beautiful evening here. I got out of shorts because I thought it was going to be cold, but it's actually very nice. So I'm very grateful to be here in a nice temperate tropical zone in between hurricanes or whatever comes up next. Okay, so I want to, so I just want to get this thing into a nice way, but I figured I would tell you what I've been feeling. And like the newsletter said, which I have here, and it should be explained, is that, so basically, why is the energy so slow on this planet? I mean, like really, really slow. Have you guys run into these pockets of, it seems like a sludge of stupidity, and it's a really slow, like 3D, and it just feels like it's really like chilled jello, and you're trying to swim through it. And it's like, are you kidding me? Well, just realize that we are actually connected to collective processes, and so this whole connection to that, we can't just sit there and say, okay, boom, let's move this, because the inertia and the amount of force vectors and energy that it takes to create a kinetic movement of something of a large collective consciousness, that takes a lot. It's like, but once the freight train gets going, like in space, it keeps going, and so it takes just as much thing to slow it down. So it is a very interesting balance to be involved or experiencing this slowness even more with your increased sensitivities, but at the same time, not to get caught up in it. And so that's what Kartron is going to explain about that. And so here we are. It is very slow. Susie, you might get several people visiting you up in Alaska, especially before, it gets really shrinky up there. So we'll see you guys later. Kartron is going to come through. Since I'm off and just on battery, I'm going to make sure that I have enough juice. So that's good. It looks like we got a good signal. I've only got 2 or 3 bars, so this whole thing is being run on I've got the hotspot so the computer can read, so I can read your chat. I've got my hotspot, so working on that, and then I'm broadcasting, and I'm doing a phone call, conference call. So good. All right. I'll see you guys later. Life is interesting. I have felt like I've been having parachutes of sludge myself, and it's really weird because it's so extreme and opposite of this. You feel this really fast, high movement, and it's like, are you kidding us? It's like the universe is needing happy pills to remove its bipolarness, It's like, are you kidding me? So, but it's not really you, and that's what Kartron is going to explain. And I think it would be important to do the newsletter to make sure that he can explain what I said in there as part of that. So good. I have recently put the update at the very end because I just give the event right away so you guys can see, oh, it's this juicy, meaty stuff do I want to be a part of. Next week, we're going to actually bring in those markers of destiny that'll go through the timeline. And so I will talk to you guys later. Life is good. Okay, yes, everything's recording. Yes. Wow, how are you guys doing today? How are you feeling? Please respond in the chat. What is your current state and what do you feel is going on currently in the world? Please respond. The voice on the phone will be about 15 to 30 seconds quicker because it takes time for YouTube to broadcast it. Because it has to do a compression ratio that works on the internet. So whatever your capture device is, it then takes a little time to change the numerical rate at which broadcasting and codec is connected. But isn't it amazing that you can now turn a phone on in most places on the planet and give your message to the world? And so, all right, yes, it is very mixed, Helen. And it's like, oh, goodness. It isn't you guys, okay? You guys signed up for a very large process, something that deals with the larger arcs of humanity. This is to let you know, kind of like a galactic weather report, that you have gone past the point where you have been destroyed and annihilated as far as the human race about 4 times before. And so this is new territory for you. And you guys, a lot of what wasn't making it before is scheduled to. And so now there's a whole different set of cards that are being dealt. Even people of a not a spiritual nature, of a more dense, taking longer, slower nature energetically, of a lower frequency than the higher frequencies like angels and stuff, are waking up. And Patrick heard something on Coast to Coast the other day, which was very interesting because they're wondering why the crazy house has taken over. And this one guy said, I think the only explanation is that we all died and are not aware of it yet. And so it was very interesting for Patrick to hear that at 4:30 in the morning when he just turned on the radio. And so that is kind of like one of those things for some people that might occur. Now, when the shadow starts being separated from this earth, because the earth is going home, it is Eden, the control, manipulation of ignorance and stupidity and domination and artificial enslavement and artificial reincarnation cycles is complete. It will not go down without fighting. That's why you guys are being lifted up to your positions. It's not your job. So the dark energy that's just dense and not able to continue has to leave. Otherwise, it will get obliterated as heaven comes to earth. And so it's a very interesting balance, is it not? It's like right now, Patrick is hearing the rustling of rats in the garbage can in this beautiful harbor, and they come out and do their rat thing. But it's still that type of energy that exists. And so they're just doing their day-to-day family stuff. And so it is very weird, Susie. And so the more spacey, oh wow, Rebecca has been so blasted. Let's just say that her circuits have been blown open. And you know she was very high already, for those that know her. But now she is like off the scale, where a new scale has to be created. That's why she's offline right now, because her reality hasn't been formed yet, and she did a major timeline jump. And so we'll see what happens. And she knows that we are there, but she kind of like blew open the circuits, and so she decided not to wait. And having done the responsibilities of family with her daughters here in the Clearwater area and all of that, she's taking the advice, and the very big angels that are working with her are taking her for a big spin, kind of like global changes of healing type spin. And so she will inform you of that, and we will be connecting with her. So it'll be interesting to hear her cosmic weather report, yeah? So, yes, now, Elizabeth, you are transmuting a lot of family stuff, and Patrick he'll take 4 or 5 naps a day. It's a good thing he doesn't need a day job. He can do this wherever he wants. But really, there's a lot of fatigue, yes. And so you'll get knocked out and you'll wake up, get stuff done. And some of you may feel a lot less functional, a lot less able to get things done that you did before. But what you're not doing here on this plane, you are doing up there, okay? Your busy work has now gone to a bigger place. And so you got extra busy. And it's like, so imagine the busyness in heaven. You are doing the work similar to what Ascended Masters do, but you're doing a lot of cleanup. Does that make sense? Please respond. And so it is very weird, Susie. It's like a bipolar medicine ran out for God or something. And it's like, so you're going to keep seeing this extreme opposite mentality, the stuff that's so dense and refusing to not wake up. And it's refusing to see what is right in its face. And it's like, because if it admits what's really going on, then its whole world is in danger of what it's built its whole life to believing is true. And so as the institutions of illusion start becoming evident, there is this other truth of a greater nature that's coming out. And so these masks of illusion can no longer be held. So, for instance, those which say we are the government are actually the enslavers, but they're supposed to be the servants, right? And so all of these administrative positions on planet Earth, everything from commercial and corporate to governmental to industrial to even social, are designed to increase the bureaucracy that is designed to keep subjugation in place. So you have this really big, old, thick, big butt-cheek thing sitting on your head. And it's been doing it for so long, it doesn't want to let you guys go because you're very tasty and you generate a lot of life force, and that's what it feeds on. And so, we better keep the fear up. We better keep people scared, because what happens if there's love? Well, then we can't control them, and they're going to start waking up, and they won't need disease, and they won't need us, and they won't buy our products. Well, you can see the cascade that would happen, which is disastrous for them. And so, ironically, it's all coming up to a level that's right now. Yes. Oh, yes, Helen. Oh, you are actually working more when you're sleeping. You're up in what a Hawaiian friend of Patrick's called Dream School. Imagine if you can get it done up there, not in the physical, how much time and energy and work that you save, and it doesn't have to manifest and express itself in the physical, where it could be a lot more dangerous. And so all of these things are being completed. These possibilities, what if about this? What about that? And so, like, for instance, the whole concept of what would happen if tyrants were running countries and they had nuclear missiles. Well, it's allowed to go to express itself to an nth degree, but it's not really going to destroy things. But the fulfillment of the possibility is what is vital. So then it gets deleted and uncreated. So this whole thing about Armageddon, that is not yours. You are bringing in the new earth and heaven on earth. The Armageddon is the death of the system of oppression and has never been alive. It is this system of death that is finally facing the very thing that it has created for others. And it is very afraid of dying because it doesn't have God as a backup. It doesn't have something to realize that it's going to something better. It's the religions make sure that you've got to be scared so that you can then pay homage to this because it is a fearful creation. But even the whole concept of God itself and the religious institutions must now face the fact that they have to actually embrace life instead of promulgate death, because everyone is getting the world of their own making, are they not? And so that's what is happening. Do we make this dimmer a little bit? That's better. And so, what a weird situation that is going on. Now, can you hear us okay and see us? Is that still good? And so every time we want to adjust technology, our energy might make it go wonkier. So we leave it alone and even if we put a buffer around the signal, it just can't handle it. All right, so now let us begin the process. Let us bring in the gods and invoke the guardians through time, because the past that everyone has known is completing. And it's time for it to go to the place where it belongs, just like everyone. And so as people now face the world of their own making, and they get to inherit the very thing that they were intending for others, then they must now face the truth of what they have been about, what they believe, the whole thing that they've created. And it is literally, they're waking up. Some of them have believed for decades and decades of these things. And now the illusion's coming off and they're saying, my whole life, has it really been a lie? Well, this soul search, isn't that what the caterpillar goes through? At the moment that it spits acid on itself in the cocoon to break down its own DNA so that it literally will become uncreated, a DNA soup that reconfigures itself so that it can become the butterfly. It is that time of soul search that humanity now faces. And so what is your job as these beings of light? Well, as we have shared so many times, how important is it to hold that place of peace and allow the chaos around you? But if you're holding a pillar of peace between dimensions and bringing in that light, it has something of a salvation nature to come in. You're not expulsing some philosophy or belief. You're just basically holding the energy as a reference for it to be able to be reconfigured, deprogrammed, and reprogrammed into a higher divine state. Because truly the age of mankind is done and the age of Godkind is beginning. And so, as Patrick had written in the newsletter for this broadcast, what will I use this gift of life in this world for? To be less than who I am? Or is it time now to embrace the greatest possibility of who I am? Because if I squander this gift, then will I have regrets as I go to the next place? Or will I have lived it fully and been in my full power? And in the philosophy of heaven, each of you as gifts for one another, if you do not fully empower yourself as that gift, are you not dishonoring others because you are that gift and really the answer to other people's prayers as their reflection? It is these things that a lot of people cannot comprehend, but you so know what we are talking about. So here you are in the master's training. In fact, on the 24th of October, we did a radio show, and we actually opened up the curtain so that people could go into their soul and breathe the energy of heaven, of that light within them. And they got so enwrapped into this energy. And we were actually looking at, should we do this? Because this basically says game over for polarity. If you know too much, well, then you can't fit into a world that is pretending to still forget. So you have to make sure that you forget enough. And so it was decided that you guys have reached such a level that you don't need to attend another meditation or something. Oh, we should turn it around. Okay. All right. Ah. Okay, good. Hello, everybody. We are back now. All right. Yes. Sometimes we don't use the eyes, and so we're like just going and rambling on, and hopefully the phone did connect, but we're recording it in 3 different audio medias. And so, what did you hear us? What's the last thing you heard us on the broadcast? And so please respond it on the chat. The signal stopped over here. It's almost like it doesn't read us because it's like we're just not in this realm. And so sometimes it just says, oh, nobody's home because it's looking for some infrared signature or something. And if we're bringing in an angelic vibration, then how can it read Archangel Michael or Saint Germain? And so, but the technology is about ready to be opened up. Wait till you see the new augmented reality that the media companies and everybody else, where you have a spherical, 3-dimensional, a multi-dimensional streaming, live streaming, where you can look around in a room wherever you are, and you can be there where the broadcast is happening, and it is live. So isn't that interesting? So it's not a flat screen you're looking at anymore. So make sure that if before you spend $3,500 at a local box store for a super duper TV, that it can have that augmented reality feature that's going to be blasting out in 2018. Okay, yes, Deborah and Tim. Tim Doige is a very interesting fellow. And Deborah, you should work on his brain. And Tim, is it okay that we tell them, or you can tell them what was done to you in the brain department, because it's very inspirational that you are doing so well. And so it's amazing now how amazing you guys are. Okay. Yes, okay, yes. Oh, good. So we didn't say, because the God beings are coming in, the age of mankind is completing, all of this fear-based stuff is getting its fear. So people are saying, no, I don't accept it. They can't even have a good disaster anymore of like these other things. And there are these staging of these disasters. And so people say, oh, that's just crazy talk. But is it really? And let's put it this way. What about where you are now in this world? Isn't this a holographic stage where you can interact with other souls, other beings, and go through your experiences and your evolutions and connections and completions of relationship and those things called God contracts of covenant? So as you complete all of that, a lot of times you will not have the next story. And it won't be there yet because it's still forming. And so, we are going to now bring in the guardians. Let us do that while the signal is still okay. Yes, it is. Okay, very good. Archangel Michael, please sound the clarion call as we open the portal to the Grand Hall of the Archangels. Saint Germain, please open the gateway to the general chambers of the Ascended Lord and Lady Masters of Shambhala. We also ask Kuan Yin to open up the Garden of the Gods and the Temple of Wisdom. We ask the Karmic Board now, let us open a portal to them. Let us open a gateway to the Halls of Judgment. We now open a gateway to the Causal Board. We also open a gateway to the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And those primary members are the ones who dropped off their souls so they could incarnate into the human matrix. Well, there's been a lot of shenanigans going on about this artificiality, and it was allowed because it was doing a very good purpose. Even the darkest dark was an important part of the component of this polarity to create a full spectrum. See, one of the things that was unknown of this free will experiment that everyone kept touting, oh, it's a free will planet. Oh, only if you're fully disclosed and have all the information. So technically, yes and no. Well, then one of the unknowns was what will beings choose? And so, by creating a full spectrum of the most evil, vile stuff and the most divine all coming here at the same time, it literally gave it the full spectrum of choice. And so, in this role, did a very dark energy of very, very non-God, that which is further a greater distance from source, was also a choice that was available. So in this, was it not portraying a very important role in this world, so that these souls who occupy the human bodies, which are a lot of them are lagging or taking longer, so that's why they went to summer camp called Earth and not in their star systems of Arcturus, the Pleiades, Lyra, and all of that, Alpha Centauri, Orion, and all of that, because they, as we have described, needed a sanctuary where energy was slower, and so Earth became the perfect place at great expense to herself. And so it was this place that the greater shadow did come, the furthest removed, the slowest or the most lagging souls, and human bodies was a perfect vessel to incorporate that, because the humans received the souls and the angels received the wings. And now, as this is completing, the darkest dark is complete and the lightest light, and that outside authority is not needed anymore. And that's why people are starting to own the very things, not only of their own making, but of their own choosing. And so as you can choose a very hardship type of life, you can also choose a very divine one. And if someone wants to open up to that, then the universe will oblige very nicely. And so, Bigfoot, you are experiencing courting. And so we are going to be creating a special program, because it's like this harassment that you have in New York, and it comes in many forms, but it's time, Randy, that we're going to have you really, 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 really sit with this, and you're going to find out what it wants. Because a lot of times the shadow will come and harass and cause pain and suffering, and sometimes it wants to communicate. And if you, as a very advanced mediator and facilitator, use what we have done for the dark beings, the evil, and all that, and we then can actually help it to go home to the divine. And so all of these things that you guys are learning is the master techniques. When we opened up the soul on Jacqueline, the You Awakening show, it was a very profound moment, because we have never, ever taken you guys or anyone to that level. Because if you are connected with your soul, then you're not really in your body, you're not in polarity, and you have a full connection with that, and you're one with everything, then game over. You're not in the game of forgetting. And so it was a very interesting concept. Do we pull back the curtain fully and have you know yourself as God, which you have always known, but had to forget enough so that you could fit into a world that thinks it's separate from everything else? Well, all of these things was what we were wrestling with, so to speak. And at the same time, it's wrapping up this stage set. So all of this dark is freaking out, right? And it's like, oh my God, we no longer need it. We're going to be thrown into a pit or whatever. And it's like, well, its service is no longer being required. And just know that a lot of those dark beings were actually light beings who are taking those positions. Who is the one called the Lucifer, but the greatest angel, right? Somebody who was the toughest, most resilient, the most advanced, the most thing that was the most evolved state of angelic nature to take the strongest dark role, right? So if you look at this from God's point of view, then who was going to do that? Did you know that Thomas, who, quote, betrayed Jesus, was friends with Christ? And so Sananda asked him, oh, by the way, could you do this favor? Well, of course, it's going to curse your whole family line. But Thomas said, okay, all right, I'll be the one to get the silver. What do you want me to do, JC? It's like, sometimes it really sucks to be here. But it is these roles that were needed. And now, as they are completing, no longer are they required. And so as you wake up to these places that you are remembering what you've always known and had to choose to forget a certain amount, which determines the rate of your evolution of waking up and the rate of your awakening of a spiritual nature, a spiritual being having a human experience, now you get to realize yourself as God. If you are creating something, you made a cup of coffee today, did you not co-create that? If you are able to bring a smile to a child, if you are able to help someone out in life, are you not helping to create that? Technically, you are a co-creator. So likewise, you engineer and create your own life based upon the choices. And of course, in a reflection-based universe, quantum perception defines the universe. How you perceive it is how it's reflected back. And also in an attraction-based universe, like things become the vortex. So even if you resist something, if you still focus on it, it comes back. The Abraham teachings, the Abraham group, is a very good thing about that attraction-based thing and how to change it, knowing the higher teachings. And so, yes, conscious choice is very key, Deborah. And thank you for showing up in Australia. So, what are the choices? So, one of the things that Patrick realized just before these cameras turned on this evening is that clarity is one of the first steps. So, in order to get clarity, it's important to ask the right questions. If you are caught up in an intense density, a negativity, family that is vile to each other or whatever. So the questions that are very important are like, is this what I really want? Is this what I'm choosing? What kind of life do I want? Do I want to live a life of mediocrity and unfulfillment and just some job that pays the bills? And be basically a slave until I wear out, and then I can pass it on to my kids and make sure they don't take it all in taxes? Or is it time to really start showing up for what you are here for? And in that case, as a light being, and what's interesting, everybody, is that basically anyone can start becoming a light being. It's not just a certain classification anymore. Just by making the choices of doing the right thing, to be in a good way, which is kind of contrary to the way the system kind of promulgates and rewards, isn't it? But just know. In fact, Patrick ran across this store. And here's an example of a timeline thing. And then we'll get into the Guardian invocation. This store called Earth Fair has been around since 1975. It's a beautiful health food store. And Patrick noticed that it just showed up. And he's like, okay, wow, that's cool. He went in there. It's like a Walmart health food store. And he's like, this is like really cool. And the prices are better. And so what the heck's going on? Instead of GMOs, they make sure there are no GMOs in there. And it opened up a few miles from here. And he's like, wait a second. That store didn't exist until 10 days ago, literally. And so what does that mean is that maybe it was not able to exist in the timeline that Patrick was going through. And so as he was able to start seeing the other things, maybe that store showed up from another level of reality and it's starting to land here. So if that business is showing up of a nature that actually supports health at a good price and is something good, and they're actually touting and focusing on and obsessing with good, healthy food, then what other stores are next? He watched mediocre stores just disappear as timelines were changing on Maui when he was there for 20 years or so. And so watch and see what nice things pop up. So that store being there for 10 days and only yesterday for Patrick has been around since 1975. But did it exist in this level of reality until yesterday? So that's something to really tweak your cookies as far as linear thinking goes. Okay, yes. So that's what's going on. Susie, 3D minds were very important and kind of like a good prison, was it not? And it takes a stronger person to really wake up and go past that, saying, no, there is so much more. And so we want to thank you guys. Let us begin the process of invocation. Thank you, councils, for attending the Sacred Enclave of Awakening, invoked through this episode 7 of the New Genesis Series 14 of the Kartron Experience. We are here in Safety Harbor, Florida, and we are here to actually invoke the guardians. So now, let's see. As we do this, councils, the reasons why is because these guardians have to be actually the protectors of the timeline, because we are literally doing a continuum restoration. The timeline of prophecy having been a barrage of onslaught, of manipulation of faults, continuums over millenniums, literally. It was the procession of the heavens, right, guys? So it's like each sign is 2,000 years long. It was Pisces, and now it's Aquarius, and you got 2 millenniums of that. During those millenniums, the real timeline of prophecy, the one that all the ancient civilizations says, oh, heaven's coming to earth, here's the New Jerusalem, here's all of this stuff, was so messed with, and it was artificially kept out by bringing in these false flag events. And so they hacked in and created these events that weren't allowed, but they did hack in. And so therefore, the shadow side of this reality did violate principalities of invocation, intervention, and the protocols of intervention. Because this is a hands-off place. If you look at it, there's certain great forces that simply do not come in. That's because it's a happy museum, education, institution, prison, rehab place, isn't it? And so if the light comes in too strong, then it's a big mess, and it will have to remanifest. Who wants to spend the next 10 or 100,000 years cleaning up this mess if it goes to some other world? Don't you have a lot more better things to do with your time, such as being an Earth guide for the new Earth, as those other civilizations come in and have a whoop of a time going through every level of experience that you guys just experienced? You are going to be the guides of the gods. And so as this whole timeline thing comes in of an integrity nature, it is necessary to have these guardians who have guarded time and destiny to come in and hold the place. So now we open the gateway in the halls of Amenti, and we are going to, now this is underneath the Sphinx, but we are bringing this gateway here. Everyone activate your God gates and your pillars of transformation. And now we are creating a collective one, so we're all over the world in the same circle with a collective God gate. And now we're going to open up the God gate above the realm of legend and hero and the oversoul. And that goes up to a very high level past the white timeline. And so now, if anybody is actually still requiring substances to alter their energy field, you may find that you may be too sensitive and it won't be needed because, oh boy, you guys are waking up. And even artificial ingredients and stuff, what you put in the bodies, diet, nutrition and stuff like that is going to start. You're going to not be able to have the same foods. Patrick has been in a confused dietary state for a long time. And he's like, I'm in this stasis of being, say, maybe 40 or 50 pounds over. And so as you get into these levels of reality and you wake up, your earthly temple of the body is going to have to be clean. And so anything that alters the energy and the natural states that are inherent as a Homo sapien human being that alters it, then can throw it off. And, well, if you poke holes in your auric field, then all kinds of spiritual energies can come in. There's this one gentleman who said he would go in bars and he would watch people who were really, really drunk and alcoholic. He would watch these lizard beings jump into them so they could have a drink. Isn't that special? And so these are all choices, right? It's not some big end of the world force of light and dark war. The Armageddon is for the people who have created this world of fear. You are getting your new Earth, and you are being reassigned. How is let's see. Yes. Now they are actually these things are actually having the other versions of a higher level of reality. So, Andrea, that is true. Even parts of yourself that wanted to ascend and really tried to get up to a higher level of reality, part of you did go. And the part that remained was a little heavier because that light part of you that was qualified to go into that higher dimension between the new Earth and this one did make it. And so that part of you then started building and creating your version of reality up there, your heaven. So heaven isn't just something where JC comes in a mothership with pterodactyls and says the Mayans are cool, let's all drive home. And so it is something that happens in a cycle. The Mayans know this. That's why the ninth wave is perfect, because about every month or so, the ninth wave unified consciousness, which used to take thousands, if not tens or hundreds of thousands of years, now it's happening every month. And it's a very high unified consciousness. You can look up Dr. Kalaman's work, who is consulting with us, the foremost authority on Mayan science. And so he talks about the ninth wave. And there's actually a ninth wave calculator. And so if you do your celebrations at the time when the highest frequency cycle comes in, then it is easier to actually wake up what you are doing, what you are intending. So that's one good way to plan the cycles of your events. How is the broadcast? Is it still working? Yes. And so, all right, guys, let's do this. Now we're going to open up a gateway in the floor of our God Gate. And this will go to the Time Lords that are underneath the halls of Amenti, underneath the Sphinx. So now, on the count of three, for those who have worked with these type of worlds, we invoke you. Some of you have actually known how to run things in the underworld level. So it's just another one of those cycles. So if you guys know how to do that, please hold the energy. And so on the count of three, we open this gateway and we invoke the Lords of Time. These are the ones, like, they have had interesting reputations, bad raps sometimes, but a lot of these beings were actually doing their job, right? Okay, we got to do this, we got to hold this, we got to keep this cycle, we got to keep the polarity or whatever. And so now we are going to be saying greetings, great Lords of Time. It is time now to bring in the higher divine dimension. This being Kartron, along with the Sacred Enclave, now addressing the councils of heaven, are here to inform you, notify you, and petition and testify on behalf of the Lightworker and the earth itself, for now it shall no longer be bound by the ineptitudes of the density occupying the souls of humanity. Now, guys, listen to how we said that, occupying the souls. It's not the souls, it's the energies that are housed in that soul energy, which then part a greater arc of curve of a race. That may have been confusing, but some of you guys so know what we are talking about. And so, great Lords of Time, you have done a great job. Toss the Atlantean, he did a great job with his emerald tablets. You can look all this stuff up. It's all on Google, right? Some things mankind was not meant to know. For all else, there's Google. And so, now, as you, great Lord of Time, this cycle of the ages of the dark shadow yuga being complete, this is to inform you that now we will begin the process, and we are going to be delivering light and prophecy throughout time. And so therefore, all of these experiences, so recorded, in your halls and also in the Akashic and the Kosh and the other Earth that we are going to be transporting this to, that we created for this purpose. So the shadow will have the next level of sanctuary. We are getting ready to begin that exodus. So therefore, this prayer of oneness that happens this earth year shall be qualification, saying that this covenant of this alchemy of opposites on a soul level being complete, and this is the call from the cosmos of the soul of mankind. The soul ray transmits to the source, and the source receiving that prayer shall answer it. As such, this light, this answer of oneness shall return to us and to these beings so attending. As they do, they shall be the gateway. You see, guys, your pillars, which also you're going to hold the portal open because it's going to go past you. And it's going to go to the very beginning of this shadow yuga. Now, we are not going to destroy the shadow memory. We are going to make sure that it is recorded and it is stable and the integrity is there. Therefore, we are bringing in the guardians, and so in order of time, we ask that your guardians now of time and destiny emerge. So we're asking for your royal guard to come forward, and they will then be stationed to receive these markers that we shall implant beginning next week. These will be the markers of light and oneness that we will then have as streams to come and catch that ray of light throughout time when it's needed the most. At the same time, the other shadow will be lifted off, because then this is the exodus of the dark to its world, and the light, the earth, wake up and go up. So, everyone on the broadcast, does that make sense? Most fruit and vegetables actually look like the organ that it is meant for. By the way, life is very simple. Patrick had a chance to ask an 83-year-old Bernard Jensen, who was one of the pioneers in health. He said, this was on Maui in 1991 also, and he said, Dr. Jensen, if you had one sentence of advice for humanity, what would it be? Because Patrick was like, well, let's take an 8 decades of experience and distill it into one phrase. And so he said, eat the rainbow. And so how simple is that? And so, Lords of Time in the halls of Amenti, we now ask that you then make your beings available, and we are going to actually give you the record of the greatest darkness throughout time, the wars, the diseases, the terrors, and all of that. And that's where we will send the markers. And this is where the guardians will be there to guard these markers. And these markers of destiny will then be the funnels that will receive this light. And so we ask them now, we invoke them, the most ancient and holy of ways, to come forward, present themselves, for it is time for your prophecy to be fulfilled. Do all of you consent to this on the broadcast as well? And so, Galactic Federation, it is time now, this cycle of the place where these souls that could not keep up with your civilizations is complete. And now this will begin the process back for the in-breath. And so as this in-breath comes, all things will start returning to source, but in a way that will preserve all qualities of this experience. Make sure, everybody, that you exchange your information, okay? If you want to stay connected, because once the chat's gone, so Tim, make sure you connect in with the group. And you are on the newsletter. And so actually, we should actually create something where you guys can have this support group of like souls. Okay, note to self and Cosmos. All right, a support site. DK, Daddy K. Okay, so this is what you guys will be doing. All right, those in this broadcast, you guys will be holding this light, all right, and you're going to have a big blast of energy for the cycle. And so the 11, we did the 10-10, then we did the 11-11. This is coming up, right, and that's where we go and ping the website of the Cosmos. Then the 12-12, right, is where it gets answered. Then the 12-21, it comes back. All right. So then when this comes back, the galactic 8 minutes, when your solar system lines up with the galactic plane, we're going to bring in an extra strong Mickey. Yeah, nice date drug to really bring in an extra elixir. And so thank you, Guardians of Time and Destiny and Time Lords and Federation and Saint Germain. It's time now to give these Guardians of Time the blessings of the Ascended Masters. Lords of Time, we realize that you have not had all the graces and blessings of Shambhala because you've had to be in these halls of Amenti, and wise and mighty have you done your positions. You've held these great offices and dominions and natures and stations. And so, Saint Germain, it is time now to bestow the blessings and the grace and the joy and the exuberance of Shambhala to these underworlds, so these beings who have been such sentinels can now receive light. And so, Lords of Time, we thank you, and please accept our gift of the Shambhala, the miracles of Shambhala, the blessings of joy, and the love of God, as we open up the heart so that you too may receive the blessings of the new earth. Yes, make sure you connect. Tim, you're hitting a plethora of like-minded frequencies. And so, Tim, you're about ready to get cooked. By the way, the thing that happened in your head, Tim, is something that makes way for the bigger stuff. So it was actually a blessing, and you are going to find out because you are going to actually create other neural pathways. Oh, yeah. And in fact, remember, we said use that as a guide because if you can do it, anyone can do it. And that is your legacy if you choose it. And so imagine what you can do if other people have similar situations and they can overcome it. They can literally rewire themselves. You think that a higher self body part isn't absolutely perfect and immortal. Well, we are going to be doing that. And in fact, we're looking at, oh, yes, this is something that Patrick realized is that we are going to, in the master's course, we're going to have a way for you guys to deal with extreme abundance. Because imagine if it opens up all at once and you have 20 offers and you're like, oh my God. And you got this thing where I'm the only one, I'm doing this, and now I've got all this stuff. So it's how to deal with extreme abundance. Let's talk about floodgates opening up. Now, that is not our preferred methodology to suddenly throw you into lottery land. Although some of you say, well, I could deal with it. But it was just a lot of stuff that was dealing with and delays and extra things and redefines and all of that. So how would you guys be interested in taking part of an extreme abundance maintaining balance course? Because if you're tossed about by the tail of the tiger of abundance, you can be ripped apart and not take care of yourself and all of that other stuff. And so, good. Extreme abundance. Yes, you may think it's not coming for you, but it's there, waiting to pounce. When you're not looking, when you least expect it, it will jump you, and then it'll say, here, have too much of everything. Yes. So, Kalis, you will be facilitating that. Elga, you as well. And so, you guys are so great. That's why that's why you guys are just so wow. We are so going to use you for our wanton divine purposes. You think we just trained you because it's cool? No, wait till you get the bill. It's like, okay, Deborah Collings, hold this energy. Tim, open up the mind of God for humanity. Elga, it's time to hold the space for the heart. And we're going to blast 1,000 times more energy than what you've known. So your presence is not yourself. Should you survive this, you are going to be in the annals of the books of divine life in the new earth. And if you don't, you'll be like, yes, I'm out of here. Very good. So, all right. Yes, extreme abundance will occur, but it is good to have it in balance. Patrick suddenly, with his first radio show in 2013, he went from a broken phone that barely worked on Maui. He did a show, and 113 sessions showed up within 3 days. And he's like, dear God, what do I do? Oh my God. So he instantly had to become a professional. He instantly had to get the technology set up. The money wasn't available yet. It's like, what do you do? Oh my God. So we might have a drill where we can help you to go through, like, okay, that book offer came through, and now you have 20 speaking engagements, and some of them are in Europe, and what are you going to do? And you got to start next week. Things like that. We can have these drills of what occurs if. How does that sound? And that way, it will be, you'll have the experience. Oh, okay, cool. And also, you do realize that we are prompting you to get ready. Because how else is the universe going to make it available to you unless you are prepared? And this is you saying yes, and you are creating an affirmation for yourself by preparing for that infamy. Now, Patrick could become famous, but he's like going, do I want that? Aren't I having a good time just like hanging out in Masterland, a smaller scale? And so the whole thing about, do I want to play it smaller? Is this smaller? He has felt like a snail watching birds fly by. Rebecca's got a quickening, and he's like going, oh, gee, we worked really hard so that she could then really get something going. But now she's like, da 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 da, not even here. Things are happening of a quickening nature. And Patrick's like, okay, have a nice day. Because he said, don't wait for me. If an opportunity opens up, go for it. The gateways of destiny are lining up. And Rebecca's opening up that gateway for you guys as well. Yes. And so, no, Susie, you are not a wage slave. You are the master of wages. And so, oops. And so, how are you guys doing? We are checking the signal. And so, guardians of time and destiny, thank you so much for gracing us. And guys, if you could tell us if you feel that in the halls of a mentee, your experiences on this chat right now would be great. And so it is with this great honor that we will be utilizing your resources, your abilities, your assets, and your talents to help be the guardians, because you are great guardians indeed. You have had to allow very much sorrow to infiltrate, because you had to allow that of this sadness and this very great darkness to come in. You've had to allow civilizations to fall. You've had to allow the innocent suffer. You've had to allow the misuse of power to such great degree that its cries and wails were heard around the universe. And now those times are complete. We will be removing that density. Well, we won't, but there's this whole cycle. Many civilizations are showing up to do the proper transfer. And so it is with this that we thank you for participating. This will begin next Earth Week on the Wednesday of, this is the Saturday. So thank you, Guardians, and thank you, Lords of Time. You will also be altering chronology. You will be making sure that the integrity of the chronology of the linear retardated continuums are preserved. So everybody, it's not about just transmuting a blessing. You've got to make sure an accurate record is given. Because imagine if that was lost and you'd have to recreate it. Oh, I got to spend 10,000 years recreating a similar scenario, but it won't be the same. Oh, joy, right? So don't overbless. And this is what the Master Series is about. In 2018, Patrick's decided he's got to get off of whatever gluteus he is on and really start getting the Master Series going. And that will include retreats, physical retreats, if you so wish. Okay, yes, Elizabeth. And so also, there are certain people that are coming in of a very high nature that weren't allowed before, but people who basically are in the new earth, even a family, someone whose family is keeping up with them, but they're in a constant state of abundance and miracles. It's like whatever they do, it's blessed because she made it. So there are all those beings showing up. Deborah, look at yourself. You could never, ever be normal again. It's impossible. So give it up, girl. And so, everyone, thank you so much for doing this. We are seeing if there's anything else in the battery time that we have. So those who are a part of this, even though you may be new, like Andrea, you guys can be caught up and you will be used for very great purposes. You will be helping us as the God level beings to fulfill destiny. And so even though people may feel like, what do I do? I'm kind of stuck and all that. Sometimes you are holding still and it feels like you could be doing so much more. Just realize that by participating in what we are doing, that you are already helping to fulfill prophecy. And in this, you are the heroes of heaven. So thank you, everybody. And we are creating the Master's series, literally the Master's path to how to go within. And that is being prototyped now. It's a very interesting connection with the soul. So this is as far as we are supposed to go. The guardians have been notified. They have been invoked. They will be implanted as required. So the installment of them throughout time, we've sent the signal, and now the Lords of Time and the Guardians of Time are going to be assessing this. Ascended Masters, it's time now for humanity to be given the wisdom that you've had to covet out of necessity. When Moses had the 15 commandments, he had to get rid of 5 of them because he realized that a God of oneness wasn't accepted. And so he had to create a God of fear, but he knew that at some point in time it would go away to the God of oneness. And so it took longer for an arc of a curve, right? It's like do. So instead of like, hey, let's go up here to God, because Moses learned all the secrets of the Egyptian societies of Atlantis and some Lemuria, and so he knew that stuff, but he was like, okay. And so he saw that the beings of Israel just could not comprehend the God of harmony, love, and oneness. So he had to create a fearful God, and they're like, okay. And it's like, all right, but the intent was at that time was to take care of that cycle, because it's like, oh, we got another thing. And imagine him going, you mean I got to dumb this down to this level? Okay. And he, at that moment, we are seeing that he thought, really, are these beings that worth it? Yes, they are, because this is the part of this alchemy of the spectrum of souls, trillions of them, that is where this final piece is necessary, and it's taking longer. And so just realize that stupidity has a very intelligent purpose. And the choices are, you can choose to be affected by it, or be in it, or whatever. And so that is where you are at. We are going to be opening the gateways this year so that you can walk into that new level. So thank you, everybody. This is Kartron on the 7th episode of the New Earth, of the New Genesis, and this season 14. And so thank you so much for helping us to invoke the Guardians of Time. We'll see you guys. Turn it around again. Okay, here we go. All right, so it's like, what? All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. This has been very interesting. It's all very, very good. And so, how are you guys doing? And so we will be, letting you know what's going on. It's so unknown. It's so weird. Sometimes I feel like I have an eternal loneliness, and I realize that those are actually the energies in the air and in the fields, and you may pick them up. And so realize that it may not be your melancholy. I mean, come on, you're connected with God. How can you ever be alone? And so there's these extreme heaviness energies that are here, and so you may see them. So one of the important things is the clarity to identify not only if it's something you want, but whose is it? And as you do that, it's like, oh, that's a thing, collective thing. And so instead of being caught up in it, like it would love, because oh, let's get all these sad people together and feed off of that, you get to observe it as a being who is here to facilitate, but not be totally caught up in it. And so if you feel those things, just stand back and see who they really belong to, and these feelings will be in a much better way. So yes, discernment is so important. Kind of came up with that within year one, even before Kartron in '94. It was like, discernment and all of that. There's such a discerning spiritual nature going on right now. And so, thank you, everybody. Let's now complete this. And so Wednesday, we're going to be having this next thing and all of that. And so thank you guys for supporting this. It's really been working. And it'll be interesting to see what Rebecca has to say. So, oh my God, this has been quite a journey. And I also, it's funny, I feel like I'm darning socks in the middle of a concert hall, and everybody's out celebrating, and I'm sitting there trying to fix a piece of equipment and get my GoPros working or whatever. It's really weird. And so it's like, okay, let me polish this little coin. And at the same time, it's like, whoa, I just got this contract. And it's like, well, good for you. Let me find my teeth so I can smile and congratulate you. It's like, oh my God. So yeah, it's been a pretty interesting journey. And so this song is called Le Pikaki, and let's see if we get flagged properly by, YouTube, so that way we know we're doing the right thing. We'll see you guys later. Life is good. Oh, yeah. This has been another exciting broadcast here in Florida this time. Thank you for attending and being a part of this. You really are making a difference. So on that, we say have a wonderful day and a beautiful ascension.